Alright YouTube, so we are back of course to talk about some Final Fantasy VII, and we are of course discussing the upcoming 25th anniversary of this masterpiece. Specifically, it's the Japanese anniversary, January 31st. The game had like 4 different release dates in 1997, just kind of depending on what region you were in, but this is, because it's the first one, it's like the official one, if that makes any sense. Now what we're here today is that coming up on the 31st, on the 25th anniversary, Square Enix is going to hold a live stream for Final Fantasy VII kind of as a whole, but I think mostly it's going to be about the First Soldier. Now that's pretty much based on the marketing for this live stream, because it has First Soldier all over with like images seen in the background and the fact that it's like titled after the First Soldier. But it's not just about that game, though that the game might be the majority of it. Now I haven't super kept up with this game. As I told you guys a long time ago, I wasn't really going to play it. It is FF7 related, it is Battle Royale, but it being mobile only, and I know you can do blue stacks and shit on your computer. I know all that stuff, but I just knew I was never going to get really into this game. But I do know that recently Nomura talked about, like, I think the second season of the game, or the new season, whatever you want to call it, coming out, and that's probably what the majority of this live stream is going to be about, or at least the First Soldier sections. Probably going to talk about upcoming content for this game, maybe lay out the roadmap for 2022 for the First Soldier. But I think there's a decent chance that we could get other stuff here. And why I say that is because it's the 25th anniversary. It's a quarter of a century. There's a massive fucking milestone for this game. And if you're going to talk about anything future FF7 related, be that remake, be that Ever Crisis, First Soldier, which we know is going to be there, or anything else, maybe the rumored anime, like this is the event or the time to do it, right? This massive anniversary. And with this being an event where they want to commemorate Final Fantasy VII, what better way to do that than to announce future FF7 related content? Again, be that Part 2, Ever Crisis, or whatever. Now, we got to talk about it. It's part of this video. Do we think Part 2 is going to be at this event? Maybe. Look, if this was any other random event, random live stream that was related to First Soldier or FF7 related stuff, I'd be a lot more skeptical. But given what this milestone is, what this anniversary is, I think the odds are decent. And I'm not trying to build any sort of false hype or get anybody like super excited for this event, because more than likely we're going to be let down. But given what the anniversary is, the 25th anniversary, the release of this game 25 goddamn years ago, I think it's decent that they could maybe give us an update on the game. They don't have to give us a trailer. They don't have to give us a release date, nothing like that. Just maybe talk about the game to some degree. How far into development, you know, what, maybe they do have a release window or idea. Maybe they just say 2023. Who knows, right? They could give us something for Part 2. Remains to be seen. And look, I know with this topic it's kind of tired, and I know people roll their eyes and they're skeptical, and that's perfectly fine, and I don't even blame you. But my thing is, I don't write it off entirely, because you never can, really. But also, we've gotten little bits of, you know, Part 2 information and news as far back as, like, 2019, man. Like, summer or fall of 2019. This is before Part 1 even comes out. They already told us they're stepping into development for the game. We've also had stuff, like, I think it's Hamaguchi talking about building the rest of the worlds for Final Fantasy VII, stepping into Part 2, which is, you know, kind of a development update. We had, I believe it was Nomura talking about Cloud exploring an area, which is where we got into, like, the discussion of open world type stuff. Whenever COVID was locking things down, we were told that even though they're working remotely, like, it's not really affecting the game. And once we got one of the Ultimanias, it talked about how they'd already stepped into full development on Part 2. So again, even though it's only been a little bit here and there over the course of like 2+ years, we've still got stuff occasionally. So again, I don't entirely write it off. Now that being said, I fully expect Heartbreak on the 31st. Now, the other thing that I think is more likely out of this is Ever Crisis. We know that game's coming out sometime this year, sometime 2022. And outside of that initial like reveal trailer, I don't think we've really had anything. I think we got a little bit of news here and there, but I don't think we've had anything major since the initial reveal. And to be honest, there's not really a whole lot they need to tell us about it. We already know what it is, right? It's a mobile game. It's free to play with microtransactions. There's monthly updates, monthly episodic releases. It's retelling the FF7 compilation. It's going to have new additional shit. Like, we know what we need to know about it. We're just kind of waiting on that release date now. I said it back in the day, and I'll say it here again, like, between Ever Crisis and First Soldier, this was always the one I was looking more forward to, especially for, like, lore-type stuff, because for games like Dirge of Cerberus and Before Crisis, where I'm not that well-versed on those games, I know stuff about them, and I don't know as much as I do, like, for original FF7, of course. Like, I get to play those stories and learn those stories, and learn more information about FF7 as a whole. That's exciting to me. And I believe what we know of the newer content, at least what we've heard of so far, is that potentially getting more about like a younger Sephiroth, which is exciting. And assuming that what we get that's new in Ever Crisis is canonical to the overall compilation, like that's very exciting. Like I'm, again, always down for more lore. That's one of the things that I've said positively about First Soldier, even though I'm not that interested in that game. With it taking place in the past and seeing the early days of like Soldier, that's exciting. Plus, with Ever Crisis, we're eventually going to get a playable Advent Children segment, which to me just sounds completely badass, because I love that movie. Now, one of the reasons, or one of the things that has people kind of hyped for this live stream, is that Kitase and Nomura are going to be a part of it, which, of course, that's why people are debating or discussing the potential of Part 2 being there. But the thing is, both of them are attached to both mobile games. They're both attached to First Soldier and Ever Crisis. We know First Soldier is going to be there. Ever Crisis, I think, is more likely than anything Part 2 related being a part of this live stream. And I get why that makes it a little more exciting for people, but again, they're attached to these mobile projects. But if you're a player of First Soldier, you're probably already looking forward to this event anyways, because you know that you're getting something for that game, with the potential of Ever Crisis or something else FF7 related. As always, with stuff like this, my dudes, I like to give my thoughts and opinions on this shit, but also to remind you to keep your hype in check, because, of course, we're probably going to be just devastated. Also, really quickly, there's this, like, weird Amazon Twitter campaign they're doing, where you gotta, like, follow the First Soldier Japanese account. You gotta quote tweet something with, like, hashtag FF7 memories, and I guess maybe give a favorite FF7 memory. I don't know if you gotta be Japanese to win this, but thought I'd mention it. But my dudes, that is going to be pretty much the video. So we're just a couple of days away from this live stream, a couple of days away from the 25th anniversary. I hope ultimately that they do something cool to commemorate this, because I remember 5 years ago, I was about to say a couple years ago, but it's exactly 5 years ago, for the 20th anniversary, they didn't really do anything. They didn't make like a big deal about it, despite that also being a pretty big milestone. I just hope they do something for this particular anniversary. So, of course, pass off to you guys. What do you think is going to happen? We know First Soldier is going to be a part of this event. We know that they're wanting to commemorate and talk about, you know, Final Fantasy VII, just the past 25 years or whatever. What do you think we're going to see here besides First Soldier? My dudes, that's going to be the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys aren't anyone else that did more Final Fantasy VII Remake content, or I guess in this case, just kind of general FF7 content, because we don't know exactly what they're going to do with this anniversary live stream. Turn on notifications. Follow me on Twitter, @dash_YT. I'm a Discord. Links to social networks are in the description. In the outro, I'm losing my voice. Later, guys.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more. And nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Low Gain or leave it like Cobain.